School's out, blame Corona, but I still got some science I could show ya. No class, no school, that's cool. Throw the class on the YouTube. Even if they shut the school down, I'll get that knowledge anyway somehow. Real scholars won't stop for Corona. Tune in for that science takeover.
Happy Thursday, everybody. Welcome to Mrs. Finney's science class. Today we are here to wrap up this lesson 6. Shout out to the HB Warriors. Shout out to all of our subscribers. Shout out to all of our visitors. Let's get started with today's summary. All right. So today we're wrapping up the TCi program, Cells and Genetics, Lesson 6, Cell Theory, through the summary section. And the learning objective is for you to be able to demonstrate a basic understanding of multicellular organisms, unicellular organisms, cell theory, and viruses. All right. So let's take a look at what we've learned recently. In your summary section, it tells you some wrap-up information. So here we recap cells of multicellular organisms. That section let us understand that multicellular organisms are organisms that are made up of many cells. Animals, plants, and most fungi are multicellular organisms. Cells within a multicellular organism are specialized, which means that they have a specific job within the organism. These cells must work together, including sharing resources and communicating in order to survive. Collaboration is a requirement for multicellular organisms. All right? And so next, we went into unicellular organisms. So in that second section, cells of unicellular organisms, we learned that unicellular organisms are made of only one cell. Bacteria and archaea are two types of unicellular organisms. Most unicellular organisms are small, and you need a microscope to see them. All of the processes that keep the organism alive have to happen in one cell. No collaboration required. The one cell is holding it down, doing everything for the unicellular organism. In our third section, we talked about cell theory. And this section told us that cell theory states that all living things are, 1, made of one or more cells. 2, the structure and function of a living thing is determined by all of its cells working together. And 3, that all cells come only from existing cells. 3 points to the cell theory. Keep that in mind. Our last section that we covered yesterday talked about viruses. And in this section, we learned that viruses are non-living particles that make copies of themselves inside living cells. Copycats just coming to take over and be destructive. All right. Unlike living things, viruses are not made of cells. Drugs like antibiotics that kill living things are not effective against viruses. All right. So let's make sure that we understand that information. All right. You want to definitely recap on that. Then go back to our previous videos as well as take a look in TCi at those previous 4 sections to get a better understanding. We want to today take a look at some sample questions in test format just to see how well you can answer these questions based on what you learn. Okay? So we're going to do this as a group. Okay? And this is not taking a test, but we're going to use these questions just so you can see how well you can answer questions in certain situations related to the information in lesson 6. All right, so here we go. Here we go. Let's start with this first scenario. And it says, Naima does a search for images using the keyword onion and finds the 2 images below. Take a look at these images. Okay. She recognizes that the image on the left is an onion bulb with its other plant parts still attached. But she doesn't recognize the image on the right. What could she do to conclude that the image on the right is of onion bulb cells? What could she do? Let's look at our 4 options and see what you pick. A reads, she could examine the parts of the onion, looking very closely at the different parts. What do you think about that? B, she could grow an onion to see the colorful parts of the flower. C, she could paint the onion with purple paint to see if any part of it has box-like structures. Or D, she could use a microscope to look at small stained sections of the onion. Which one of these would answer what she could do to conclude that the image on the right is of onion bulb cells? Make your choice and I'll reveal your answer. If you like, you can take out a piece of paper and number your paper. Start with number 1. Put your letter choice down. All right. And then let's check and see if you have the correct answer. All right, so what could she do to conclude that the image on the right is of onion bulb cells? Answer is D. She could use a microscope to look at small stained sections of the onion. All right. Hopefully you have that one correct. Let's try number 2. Number 2 says, when Ali and his family visit the beach, they learn that it is closed because of an organism in the water known as an archaea. Ali looks up archaea and finds the picture below, which shows archaea at 2 different scales. Which evidence from the picture helped Ali to conclude that his day at the beach was canceled because of a tiny unicellular organism? Which one? A, he can see that archaea must always work together to survive. B, he can see that there are only 2 organisms in the entire picture. C, he can only see what single archaea look like when they are magnified. D, he can see that it takes many archaea together to turn the ocean pink. Which one of these answers would you select to say which evidence from the picture helped Ali to conclude that his day at the beach was canceled because of a tiny unicellular organism? Take a look. All right, did you make your selection? I hope so. Let's check and see if you have the answer. Okay. Number 2. C is the correct answer. He can only see what single archaea look like when they are magnified. Okay. Hopefully you have that one correct. If not, you can correct it. Let's check 3. 3 says, Sam learns on a trip to the Science Museum that soil contains living things and that many of these living things are too small to see. He would like to find his own evidence that this is true. Which of the following is a question that he should ask to begin his investigation? Here's an image we could take a look at. Very cool video. All right, so Which of the following is a question he should ask to begin his investigation? A, are there any cells in the soil? B, how much water can the soil absorb? C, will I be able to see viruses in the soil? Or D, are there only multicellular organisms in the soil? Okay, which one of these will address this? Let's take it back. Sam learns on a trip to the Science Museum that soil contains living things and that many of these living things are too small to see. He would like to find his own evidence that this is true. Which of the following is a question that he should ask to begin his investigation? Make your selection. Write your answer down. All right, and let's check and see. Number 3. A, are there any cells in the soil? All right. Let's move on to number 4. A scientist goes into a lab and finds that another scientist left an unknown sample under the microscope. She looks through the microscope and sees something that she doesn't recognize. She wants to figure out if she is looking at the cells of a unicellular organism or the cells of part of a multicellular organism. Which question could be investigated to provide evidence that the cells under the microscope are each individual unicellular organisms? Good question. A, are the cells dividing? B, are the cells connected to one another and sharing materials? C, are the cells different shapes with different functions? Or D, are the cells able to survive on their own when separated? Which one of these will provide evidence that the cells under the microscope are each individual unicellular organisms? Make your selection, write it down. All right, let's check your answer. Which one did you pick? All right, let's see if you're correct. D, are the cells able to survive on their own when separated? Good job, good job. All right, let's take a look at 5. 5 says, a middle school student wants to plan an investigation based on cell theory. His teacher says he must submit his questions before he begins. Which question is based on a part of the cell theory and is the teacher most likely to accept? A, is the common cold caused by viruses or bacteria? B, how many kinds of cells are there in the human liver? C, how many times does a skin cell have to be magnified in order to be visible? D, how do leaf cells work together to form a structure that captures sunlight? We're looking for the question that is based on part of the cell theory and the teacher is most likely to accept. Which one? What do you think? You have a choice. You made a selection. All right, let's check and see. Which question is based on part of the cell theory? D, how do leaf cells work together to form a structure that captures sunlight? All right, let's take a look at 6. Again, make corrections if you need to. We're just checking to see how well you can apply what we learn to different scenarios. All right, number 6. A scientist brings a mushroom into her lab and cuts a very thin slice to view under the microscope. Which note should the scientist write in her lab notebook about the mushroom? All right, let's take a quick look. Pretty cool. All right, let's get back. All right, which note should the scientist write in her lab notebook about the mushroom? A, it is unicellular because of the size of the mushroom and the fact that I see only one cell under magnification. B, it is unicellular because of the size of the mushroom and the fact that I see many cells under magnification. C, it is multicellular because of the size of the mushroom and the fact that I only see one cell under magnification. Or D, it is multicellular because of the size of the mushroom and the fact that I see many cells under magnification. Make your selection. What's a note that the scientist can write in her lab notebook about the mushroom? A, B, C, or D? Your choice. All right, let's take a look here. Final answer, D. It is multicellular because of the size of the mushroom and the fact that I see many cells under magnification. Nice work, good job. All right. We're going to move to the next, which it says, think like a scientist. Read about the scientific investigation, then answer the 3 questions that follow the investigation by selecting the letter next to the best answer. Here's the investigation. Think like a scientist. Here we go. A group of students learned about the 19th century scientist Louis Pasteur in science class. They decided to perform one of his experiments. The table shows each step and the notes they took about each step. The picture shows a drawing of the setup they used. All right. So here are the steps. First step, filtrate top flask with liquid A. Note, liquid A is broth that has nutrients in it that help bacteria cells grow and divide quickly. Liquid A is not sterile, meaning there are bacterial cells growing in it already. 2, place the flask over heat until it boils. Boiling destroys any bacterial cells that are already growing in the broth. 3, place the flask in open air for 2 days. The air is full of bacteria and other microorganisms that can fall inside the flask. 4, observe a sample of the broth under the microscope. The sample has living cells in it. 5, fill a bent top flask with liquid A. We put the same amount of liquid A in this flask as we did in step 1. 6, place the bent top flask over heat until it boils. After the flask cooled, we noticed that water plugged up part of the top of the flask and that the boiling killed all of the bacterial cells in the broth. And 7, place the bent top flask in open air for 2 days. The plug of water prevents air from being able to reach the broth. All right, so here's a visual. Take a look. What's happening? Straight top flask. We have the boil. Sample taken from broth and flask. Result, cells in flask. Liquid A broth, bent top flask. Boil, water plug. Question. All right. So here we have 7. Number 7 says the students need to take one final step to complete this investigation. Which step should they take after step 7? What do you think they need to do? A, heat the bent top flask again until the broth boils. B, add another sample of bacteria to the bent top flask. Or C, look at the sample of the broth under the microscope. Or D, remove the water plug and the bent top flask so that the broth is exposed to the air. What do you think needs to happen? For the final step. All right, let's take a look. You made your selection? A, B, C, or D? Which of the 4 choices? All right, let's take a look. Number 7. C, look at the sample of the broth under the microscope. Hope you picked that one. Good job. If not, just make your correction. All right, here we go. Other similar experiments were done at the time of Pasteur's. In one experiment, broth was boiled and left to cool in a covered flask. Bacteria grew in the broth even though it was covered. People pointed to this as evidence that spontaneous generation might actually exist. Another scientist uses cells theory to see if there was another reason that this could happen. Which of the following questions might the scientist have asked based on the cell theory? Question number 1. Are bacteria unicellular or multicellular? B, question A rather, are bacteria unicellular or multicellular? B, can bacteria grow in different kinds of flasks? C, can some bacteria survive being boiled? Or D, is there something in broth that can turn into bacteria? Which of the following questions might the scientists have asked based on the cell theory? Think about it. All right, let's take a look. Answer is C. Can some bacteria survive being boiled? All right, let's take a look at our last question. People have used the results of Louis Pasteur's experiment to improve the way that food is handled before it is sold. Which of the following is a question that people might have asked about food based on the results of this experiment? A, is there a way to make oranges get ripe more quickly? B, can a virus that makes humans sick survive on an apple? C, how much bacteria lives on a fork? D, would milk that is heated to kill bacteria stay fresh longer? Okay. Which of those questions possibly would be a question that people might ask about food based on the results of his experiment? based on the results of his experiment. Think about it. Did you make a selection? All right, let's go back here and see. Number 9, would milk that is heated to kill bacteria stay fresh longer? Good choice. Nice work. Nice work. All right, so that wraps up our lesson 6 cell theory summary. Good job. Nice work. At home, you can go in and complete the lesson 6 lesson game. Okay, try those questions there. And I'll check that on my end at home. All right. And we will wrap up with our outro today. Here we go. It's been fun. It's been real. We break it down and pick up science skills. Give yourself 2 claps just for tuning in. Come back, meet tomorrow. We can learn again. Oh, it's been fun. It's been real. We break it down and pick up science skills. Give yourself 2 claps just for tuning in. Come back, meet tomorrow. We can learn again. You all have a great rest of your day. I will see you tomorrow. Peace.